there! Welcome to We Are Crafted in His Image. Today I want to share a little floral fun fold Friday. The Wisteria Wishes stamp set unfortunately is going to be retiring at the end of this month, and so I wanted to have another play with it before it retires. So this is an idea that I actually have had in my head since I got this set and never sat down to do it. And I don't know why it took me so long. It seemed harder in my head than it actually ended up being. But you can see I have my pretty flowers here on the front, but then when you open it up, you have kind of a 3D effect of an arbor with the pretty wisteria flowers all hanging down on there. As you can see this direction. Yeah, it was so simple. So let's get started. I'm going to show you how to make this card. Now I've mounted most of my stamps already, but I did not mount this one because I wanted to show you a little tip. When you put this on your block, you don't want to put it down like this. Like it does fit on this block here, but because this piece here is very flexible, it's easy to accidentally get it just a little bit in the wrong position. So then if you are going to use the die later on, you'll find that that little stem there doesn't line up perfectly with the cutout in the die. So the best way to do it is to turn it this way. Just let it find its own shape. Then take your block and set it down on there. And there you go. It's all lined up. Actually, I don't have it on there straight. I can't see very well. I should probably get a bigger block out. Yep, I think I'm going to get a bigger block. There we go. That's easier. So now I know that this one here, if I were going to cut it out, these ones are not going to get cut, but if I were, it would line up with the die itself to line up perfectly. So what I need to do now is I want to stamp on the front and the inside panels. The front panel, though, I needed to line up in a specific area so that my flowers come out of my window. So what I'm doing now is just lining up my white panel on my card front. I'm going to lay my frame on that I cut out earlier, and a pencil. I'm just going to use a pencil here and mark these two corners right there. I don't have to worry about the bottom. Actually, I do want the bottom because I'm going to stamp the little sentiment in this corner as well. And there we have. So now I have some guidelines to go by when I'm stamping. And that one, the inside one is super easy. It is just one stamp here. Ink that up. And the key thing with this stamp is to make sure that your vines are hanging straight down and not on an angle. And for this one, I want it close to the top. I want these leaves up here close to the top, but not all the way at the top. And again, just checking those vines, making sure they are actually hanging down. So there's my inside with the leaves. And now I want on here, I'm going to stamp a couple of times. I'm going to stamp, I can see my marks here and here, so I'm going to do one down low. I almost did that crooked. I'm going to do it so that the stem is just on the edge. And then let me grab a scrap piece here, because I think this one is going to go off the edge. I'm going to fold this in half. Yes, my next one's going to go off the edge. I don't need all of it. I really am just trying to fill in so that my front one is very full. Lots of leaves going on my bush, my wisteria vine here. There we go. So that part is done. Now we need to hang some flowers. Oh, I do need this still because I'm going to go ahead and stamp my words on here. I don't think I need my scrap paper anymore. Alright, so my words need to go down in this bottom corner. And I'm hoping my flower might get in the way of that. Oh, it is. Oh, not too bad. Not too bad. I should have done the flowers first. And this one goes on the inside. This one I should have plenty of room. Oh, I almost stamped that upside down. There we go. Okay. Now I don't need the Mossy Meadow anymore. Now I want to pull in Highland Heather. Oh, and I do need my scrap paper still. Let me ink up this one. Stamp. Scrap paper. Stamp once. Oh, just perfect. And stamp a second time. There we go. Now I'm done with Highland Heather. I'm going to get out Gorgeous Grape. And we have the little accent pieces to add a little bit of depth of color to our wisteria vine. I'm only going to stamp that once right there because it's already got, there's that. 2, and 1 more, 3. Okay, I think all of the stamping is done. Put away my ink. And now let's start assembling. So I do have a half sheet of cardstock here. And as always, all of the dimensions for these will be over on my blog. Just look in the description of this video if you're watching on YouTube, and it will give you a link straight to the blog post. And in case you want to replicate this, there we go. And then this is the outside, so I'm going to go ahead and adhere this one. Where did it go? There it is. Get some adhesive on here. Put that on. Before I go any further, I want to grab an eraser really quick and erase my pencil marks, because otherwise I will get excited and forget about that. And they will still show, so I don't want them to show. There we go. Now, while I've got my adhesive here, I'm going to go ahead and put my inside panel in. Front, inside, upside down. Okay, then we're going to go ahead and do the inside little arbor piece. Sorry, I had to pause to go take care of some errands. So anyway, let's go ahead and finish this up. We need to do the arbor on the inside. So I have a piece of cardstock here. It's a 1/2 inch by 5 1/4. There are 3 score lines. There's 1 at this end and there are 2 at this end. That's how they're going to fold up, just like that. But what I want to do, and all these dimensions will be on the blog, of course. What I want to do first before I add these here is to put a little vine on it, just to give it a little bit extra, make it look like our wisteria vine continues all the way around. Excuse me. So I'm going to stick that on here, kind of near the top. The bottom parts of this is going to be totally hidden, and most of this will be hidden anyway, but just gives a little extra, especially at this end. And there we go, there's that piece. And now what I want to do, I need to go ahead and glue these on, but there's a couple things to keep in mind. First off, this fold here, you do not want your leaves to extend beyond this fold. So if this fold is here, this would actually end up sticking out of your card once you fold your card. So you want to make sure that it is within the fold area. So what I'm actually going to do, I am going to turn this over and set this on here so that I can see the area of where I want to put glue. And I'm just going to mark that. I'm going to do the same thing on this one. This one's going to be pretty close to the same area. Just mark them so I know where I want to put the adhesive. There we go. And this one I'm going to go ahead and put some glue on. Staying within those pencil marks. And then I'm gonna go ahead, what I'm doing here is I'm gonna line up my vine that's vertical with these, or parallel to the lines on my grid. And then I'm going to, whoops, stay put, will you? This leaf is on this line here, so then I'm going to make sure that my piece here is also or beyond that line. That way I know that that's not going to stick out when I close the card. There we go. Before I put this one on, I want to go ahead and put on the flowers. Now to do the flowers, we are going to use a combination of glue dots and tear and tape. So I'm going to go ahead and stick a glue dot on the front of each of these vines, and it is going to hang over the edge. That's okay. We're going to take care of that in a minute. Da, 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 da. One more. Okay, and then I'm going to grab one of my set of 3 flowers, and again, making sure my vines are straight up and down, then make sure my flowers are straight up and down, and go ahead and stick that, but don't push too hard or you'll stick to the back piece. And now for 2 reasons. One, to cover up the rest of that excessive adhesive, and also to really just make sure these flowers don't come off, because you can see they're barely on there. There's not a lot holding it. So I'm going to take some tear and tape, and I'm going to cover up the back side of that with it, and we're just going to leave the backing paper on. And this will really help kind of sandwich that vine and make sure it sticks, our flowers don't fall off. Alright, so that one is done. Now let's do the other one. Now the other one is going to have to get trimmed. I know that this vine here is going to need to come off. So I'm going to go ahead and cut that off. Actually, yeah, it's going to be beyond that anyway, so I don't have to cut it right now. So what I'm going to do now is add some adhesive, add some liquid glue on here where I marked earlier. And I don't have to go too far because, like I said, I know that part's going to get cut off. And this time, I'm going to kind of just touch it down, but then, whoops, so it'll stick, so I know I'm in between the pencil marks, but then I want to slide it over. And I want to verify to make sure my vines are going straight up and down. And that my flowers aren't going to line up right on top of each other. That was the problem I had on the last one. If I had this over here, then these two, as it is, it's already going to kind of cover that one, but it would have been right on top of it. So we want to kind of move it over a little bit more that way. So I do need to trim off that. Unless, of course, I wonder, can I lift this off? Do I want to go even further over? No, I want to keep it over here. So I'm going to have to put a little more adhesive because that was starting to dry. I was playing with it too long. Okay. Make sure my glue's not sticking out. There we go. And then cut off where this extends. There we go. And actually this piece here I'm going to cut off as well so that it ends up sitting flush against our card. Alright, so let's get my sticky parts out of here. These two are going to go on, I have an extra flower there, are on the front. And this one here, those two are going to go on the front. We want to cut one of these flowers off. So make sure, yep, it's this one here we want to cut off. And because I didn't die cut that very well, I'm going to trim all the way down. There we go. And now we're going to do the same thing. We are going to grab 2 glue dots. This one's going to be a little trickier to get to because that other flower is going to be in the way, but we can make it work. And another glue dot. here, stick, stick, and then make sure your flowers hang straight down. Okay, come back in here, and this is where we have to lift and put our tear and tape on. Oop. Cover that one up. And lift this up. Get underneath here and cover that one. There we go. Now our vines are ready to be adhered to our card. And what I'm going to do, let me go ahead and I already folded this. I'm going to put tear and tape on this little square here. And I could use my liquid adhesive, but for the sake of not having to wait for it to dry, we're going to do this. And I do want to cover the whole square, so because again, this is only holding onto the card in a 1/2 inch square. It's not a lot, and it's got a little bit of weight, so I want to make sure it's really well adhered. Come on, get on there. Okay, and then what I want to do is make sure that my leaves up here are not going to stick off the top. So I want to make sure those are down and that it is straight. My flowers hang straight. Don't worry if they're over here, that's okay. We're going to change that in a minute. So I'm going to bring it up a little bit. There we go. Stick that down. Then we're going to put adhesive on the same on this side of this square. Ta-da! Make sure none of my adhesive is overhanging. And then what you want to do is go ahead and fold that in a Z fold. Hold that down, make sure it stays straight, and then just close your card on top of it. And now when you open, ta-da, you have a pretty 3D vine trellis. Yay! All right, now let's finish up the front. Oh, and I should have checked to make sure. Now see, that is sticking out. I should have double checked my fold. Well, let's see if we can cover it a little bit with this. It's not going to cover. Oh, it might. All right, to put this on, a couple of tips. First off, when you are die cutting the frame using, where did I put it? Ah, here it is. Using anything that has a very straight edge like this, when you put it through your die cut machine, you want to angle it. You don't want it to go straight through like this, because this straight edge hitting that entire rolls at the same time, first off, it's going to be really hard to crank it through, and it's not great for these. So what you want to do is just give it a slight angle like that. That way as the roller goes through, it's not hitting so much all at once. Yeah, so that just makes it a little bit easier when you're doing any kind of a die with a very straight edge like that. I'm going to use stamping some dimensional strips here. Let's get this on. And I'm just going to go kind of right in the middle of that. Let's see if this one's a good size. I'll put it all in here. And then we will cut a short and another short. And another tip, because I want this frame to completely line up with the edge of my card here, what I'm going to do is use this, I'm going to turn it this way just to make it easier for me, to line up my frame. So I'm going to pull off my backings here. Oh, I already got that one. Yes. So then all I'm going to do now is make sure my card is all the way into the corner there. I'm going to see if I can fix that. Actually, yeah. I'm going to use this side. There we go. And then you just push your frame into the corner as well. And then set it down. And it will line up very nicely with your card. There we go. Hey, and it is kind of hiding it. Yay, I don't have to move it. What I should have done is I should have gone ahead and folded that to make sure that my score was tucking into there very well. But, you learn with each card, right? Now we're going to finish up the front of our card and we'll be done. Dun, 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 dun. This one, we need some dimensionals. So I'm going to grab a couple of mini dimensionals. Whoops, I have some little teeny tiny ones cut for another project here. And I want dimensionals on these two leaves here. The bottom two. There we go. Then I'm simply going to add a little bit of glue right there, and then a little bit on the back of this upper leaf. Pull my backings off. Maybe. There we go. And then tuck this in, making sure your vines are straight. And I'm also kind of eyeballing that my flowers are going to fall in between the flowers that are already there. Take the backing off. I have sticky on my finger. And voila. We are finished. Now there was one extra flower, and if you wanted you could easily tuck it in here somewhere if you thought your background needed some more, or just save it for another project. And there we have our finished Fun Fold Friday floral card. I hope you enjoyed this one. Like I said, Wisteria Wishes is retiring, and they are all pretty much while supplies last. So if you like this stamp set, you're going to want to get it as soon as possible. But I hope you enjoyed it, and until next time, God's love and blessings to you. Bye!